This video is sponsored by my OnlyFans, where I do my meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, and more. Hi guys, and welcome to this live, basically a book breakdown of the latest The Lion, Son of the Forest, Part 2. So if you haven't seen Part 1, well, you gotta see it to grab the context of everything. So last time we discussed how the lion awakened, what he saw, all of that, and now we are going to go a bit further and see who he met and what that person told him. Now, if you hear something, I have my, by the way, I have my notes here. If you hear something, it's just the background of my lovely Astartes puppies, who just love to, make themselves noticeable when I'm freaking streaming. So there's that. Stream is running. Oh, good. Okay, so I have my notes, and we're also going to listen to some part of the book. And I wanted to play that through Audible so you can hear it like perfectly clear. But it's gotta be from the phone because unfortunately Audible just doesn't work for some reason. It just loads indefinitely and it makes my whole PC act like I'm trying to play two games at once. So I have no idea what the heck's happening. Okay, so we are picking up, guys, where we left off, and let's see. So first we picked up, the story basically continues where this marine starts explaining the chaos, not pun intended, but from one hand kinda. He explained what happened, how Caliban was attacked, how they were attacked, how the lion attacked everyone basically without asking questions. He just thought that everyone are a traitor. And those that weren't, and those that were actually not under the rule of Luther and all the other leaders, whoever they are, they were basically clueless and innocent of what was happening, and they also were casualties of the lion and the other brothers of the Dark Angel. So it's just very sad story, very compelling story, but just goes to show you that in the chaos of a war, mistakes can be made, and even the best leaders, like the Primarchs, can make fatal mistakes. And it is fatal, basically. So the absurdity of everything, that is what the Marine explains. I'm sorry about that. And then we get to chapter 5, and it's about, I'm not really sure, guys, but yeah, I think that this is about some of the real traitor allegiance of the Dark Angels, and mostly about the Baylor and this guy, Bulgarian came out, Seraphax, who is described looking like the guy from the new Star Wars game. Forgot his name, but the Jedi Fallen Order guy. Yeah, he's described that he looks kind of like this guy, which is interesting. That doesn't matter. So basically, this Baylor guy, it's a huge badass. Seraphax also, he actually wants to do something that other people failed into, so to speak. Okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So basically, yeah, he wants to achieve what Abaddon could not. I wonder how he's going to do that. So after we are done with this chapter, which for me was like needless, kind of like a filler, maybe it's going to be important later, but for now it isn't. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to know about Baylor, his aunt, and his uncle, like we joke here. Anyway, that's just a Bulgarian joke, guys. Sorry. So yeah, continuing with chapter 6, which is much more interesting. So the space marine opens fire. He misses because of course he is shooting the lion and he is agile enough to, you know, duck and just move himself from the spot of the shooting. And then, kind of a fight, not really a fight, because the lion pins down Zabriel. And then they have this talk. So basically, the lion is angry. He calls him a traitor, and Zabriel also calls him a traitor. And he's like, "Where have you been for the last 10,000 years, Mr. Primarch?" And the lion really can't answer. That really stuns him. And he is like, "Oh, yeah, well, basically, I did ditch the Imperium somehow. He doesn't know how. Last time that he remembers, he was mortally wounded by Luthor, if I'm not mistaken. He was brought somewhere and then he lost all memory of what the heck is happening. And he just, woke in this forest. Which forest, by the way, kind of seems like that it was Caliban. But then somehow he arrived in this new planet here with Zabriel, this new world. So how did that happen? I don't know yet, guys, because I'm not there. So okay, so Zabriel turns out to be right, basically, and the lion wasn't there for the Imperium, his sons, and the Emperor. And then the lion demands that Zabriel removes his helmet. And Zabriel does, and he sees that Zabriel is very old. So the lion's very old, Zabriel is very old. And here the lion is like, there is no way there's a living space marine for 10,000 years. Because Zabriel is a veteran. He basically was there since the very beginning, actually even before I think the lion was found. So he is like so freaking old, it's unbelievable. But then Zabriel explains that he was actually scattered not only through space but through time. He was in the warp and he emerged like 400 years ago. So he is like 400 years and something old, maybe 500, who knows, actually. Which for an story is it's old, but it's not like super old. So maybe like, who knows, like around 40 something or 50 something, something like that maybe. Okay, then, they had this talk where Zabriel explained that he didn't have anything to do with the open fire against the Lion's fleet. But as for his reason that he opened the fire against the lion now, basically, Zabriel saw how the lion's forces and the lion himself killed everyone in his path. I'm paraphrasing here. In the search of Luthor and the other leaders, he was like consumed with rage and anger, basically. And the lion actually realizes that he has been a bit of a poor judge of character, because if he was a better one, he would just maybe see the errors in his brother Horus' ways and in a lot of other things like that, but he just didn't. So helping him now, though Zabriel helping the lion remember, the lion starts, believing Zabriel, and they are both having this wonderful, wonderful conversation. So I'm going to play a part of that, and I'm going to comment on it when we are done. So guys, prepare yourself, because this is one of the best interactions in Warhammer 40k that I have personally listened to. So I am happy, guys. Okay, let me just see what it is. Okay. Hold on. It's Audible is honestly not done as well as it could have been done. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. It could have been way better. I had apps that are not like official that are much better than freaking Audible. Okay. I have no idea why it's not playing. Just literally should be playing, and you should hear it. but it's not playing, so I don't know. Guys, hold on. Okay, let me try this again. There's something with the Bluetooth that preventing it to play. Okay, here it is, here it is. It thought that it was on Bluetooth, but it wasn't.
Even in his old memories, there were few that could hold his gaze for any length of time. Our leaders,
Hold.
the Lion has never seen a space marine this old.
Okay, here we go.
Some of the enhanced, like Lorgar's wretch Corferon, yes, those warriors were never a space marine's equal, being raised up while older and lacking the advanced gene-smithing that kept the ravages of time at bay so effectively. A true space marine, though. The Lion reaches up slowly with one armored hand and rubs gently at the lines he knows mark his own face. He had no idea what he was looking at when he saw his reflection in the river, nothing with which to compare it. Now he remembers how he looked the last time he saw himself, and he wonders. He shakes his head, clinging to what he knows. No. 10,000 years is an impossibility. A Primarch. I cannot be sure how we would age, but a space marine would be long dead. I am certain of it. The warp storm scattered us not just through space, but also through time, Zabriel says. I re-emerged perhaps 400 years ago. 400 years of running and hiding from my little brothers, he adds scornfully. We were always single-minded once we engaged a foe, but 10,000 years of hatred in an attempt to extinguish guilt? Truly, my Lord Lion, you taught your sons well. What mockery is this? The Lion snarls. We returned to Caliban from Terra only to find the system held against us. You opened fire on us without warning, and your leaders had made pacts with... He becomes aware again of the people around them, too scared to get close, but too fascinated to draw back. Some of them are within earshot for sure. With powers I will not name, he finishes, lowering his voice. I cannot explain how I have come to be here, for my memory was impaired until I laid eyes upon you, and some things are still hidden from me. But one thing is plain. As soon as you saw me, you tried to kill me again. Why should my loyal sons not hunt traitors like yourself? Zabriel sighs and rests his head back on the ground, his aspect of one who is weary beyond all reason. I knew nothing of the powers of which you speak. I had no contact with our leaders, Luther and Astelan and the others, save briefly and in passing. I was not party to any order to open fire upon your fleet. But as for my reaction to seeing you... He raises his head and looks the Lion in the eye. It is not an experience the Lion is used to. Even in his old memories, there were few that could hold his gaze for any length of time. I saw you once only after you ordered us to Caliban. The fleet was raining fire upon us, and our brothers had landed to make war. I caught a glimpse of you for the first time in years as you cut your way through some new recruits who had never laid eyes on you and whose first true battle wearing the armor of the First Legion was against their Gene-Father and his executioners. They died in moments, and you pressed on, presumably in search of Luther. I did not see you again. However, even with what came afterwards, even when the planet splintered and the warp reached out to seize us all, it was the expression on your face that remained with me then and for all the long years since. It was hatred and rage, pure and unfettered. You were intent upon our deaths, and we knew better than any others that once you set your mind to something, you could not be deterred. When I saw you here, having walked out of the forest, I could not mistake your features despite the age that has overtaken you, for your face has haunted my dreams for centuries. Either you were a chaos-spawned mockery of my Primarch, spewed forth from the great rift to torment me, or you were the lion, here to finally kill me. I was prepared to tolerate neither without a fight. The lion searches Zabriel's face with his eyes, and stretches out with all his senses, but he can sense no falsehood. The Space Marine's twin heartbeat does not betray him, and there is no scent of deception, although to be sure, having been borne to the ground and disarmed by a Primarch would trigger a fight-or-flight reflex in anyone, against which background the subtle sense of heightened anxiety would be difficult to make out. The lion is bitterly aware that he has not always been the best judge of character. On Diamat, he handed siege machines over to Perturabo, in the mistaken belief that his brother was going to use them to crush Horus's nascent rebellion. Instead, those guns spelled doom for the Raven Guard and the Salamanders at Istvan V. How much grief and bloodshed could have been spared had he been able to trust Gilliman from the moment the Dark Angels arrived through the ruin storm at Macragge. Instead, both of them kept their secrets with disastrous consequences. And on and on. Should he have seen what Lorgar's obsessive love of their father concealed? Should he have recognized that Angron's rage would never be satisfied? Should he, most crucially, have perceived the flaws in Horus Lupercal? It was not in his nature. The Lion and the First Legion had always faced outwards, searching for the danger in the darkness beyond humanity's borders, not looking over their shoulders. But it is a failure that gnaws at him nonetheless. But how could Lion L. Johnson be expected to see the worm inside the heart of one of the greatest diplomats and strategists humanity had ever known, when he had not even been able to foresee the thoughts and actions of his own legion? He has no answers. None of his brothers are here, even the ones he could trust. He must, as he so often has, do this alone. You say I abandoned the Imperium, he says, his voice low and dangerous. Do you swear to me, by whatever you hold most dear, that you remained loyal? That whatever the allegiances of your commanders, you, Zabriel, loved the Emperor and humanity, and that you only raised your hand to your brothers and to me because you thought you were betrayed in turn? Zabriel's eyes still do not leave his. I swear it. The lion hesitates, but how can he decry his gene-son for not realizing the failures of his commanders when the lion himself had never detected his own brother's treachery until it was too late? Besides which, these people consider Zabriel to be their protector, which at least implies that he has not fallen into the same sort of darkness as the heretics of Horus's rebellion. Your story of 10,000 years is hard to accept, Lion L. Johnson says. But I believe these words. He rises and reaches down to offer a hand to Zabriel, a gesture as much as it is assistance, for a Space Marine needs no help to get to his feet.
And now it's amazing.
Zabriel does not move. And do you also swear? Lion L. Johnson frowns. Swear what? do you swear to me, by whatever you hold most dear, that you remained loyal? That you, the lion, loved the Emperor and humanity, and that you only raised your hand to your gene-sons because you thought you were betrayed? The lion growls deep in his throat at being questioned so by one of his warriors, but he holds his tongue. It seems he has much to learn, and Zabriel's obvious age immediately suggests that he may know more than any of the humans on Kamarth.
Yes.
Besides, the lion has no reason not to give the honest answer beyond that of stubborn pride, and he has seen how that can tear the galaxy apart.
Yes, we learned many times.
I swear it, he says. Zabriel reaches up to accept his hand, and the lion pulls him to his feet. He realizes a moment later that Zabriel's eyes are moistening with tears. So pointless, the Space Marine mutters to himself. If there were any traitors, they were not who I thought. We waged war upon ourselves for no reason. Zabriel, the lion says seriously, I must know our situation. What of the Imperium? What of my brothers? What of my legion? Zabriel snorts a laugh that is without humor. Where to begin? An exact date is difficult to ascertain, even for someone who has been counting the passage of time for 4 centuries. The Emperor remains interred on the Golden Throne, or so his subjects believe. I certainly cannot say for sure one way or the other. He is worshipped as a god. He is what? Zabriel shrugs wearily. The Imperial Creed. The ecclesiarchy is just as fanatical as the bastard word-bearers were in our day. Only they have the full power of the Imperium behind them now. To deny the Emperor's divinity is to be sentenced to death. I believe most Space Marines have some clemency on the issue, but I have had little opportunity to engage any in conversation. Every person around you considers him a god, and I simply keep my own counsel on the matter. The lion closes his eyes. I asked myself in the aftermath of the Siege of Terra whether the so-called victory was worth the cost. Now I wonder if we won at all.
Yeah.
He opens them again. How did my brothers allow this? They are gone, Zabriel says with a sigh. All the loyalist Primarchs were merely a memory by the time I was spat out by the warp. Be assured that I went looking for information, desperately trying to find some link to the life I knew. But I cannot even tell you who was the last to fall or how it happened. Some say they are dead, some say they disappeared, some believe in the Primarchs only as figures of myth and legend. The Imperium is now ruled by the High Lords of Terra. The lion's hands curl into fists without any conscious thought, and he grits his teeth. He remembers the misery he felt when he learned of Ferris's death, and Corax's, and Sanguinius's. Is it better to be told of all his remaining brothers' deaths in one go, rather than seeing them fall or fade one by one? He is uncertain, but he doubts it. And my legion, he manages. Rearranged. By order of Lord Guilliman, Zabriel informs him neutrally. All the legions were dissolved into individual chapters. The Dark Angels remain as a force of 1,000 or so, with many other successor chapters affiliated to them. Guilliman, Lion L. Johnson hisses, his grief abruptly overtaken by blistering rage. Never content with the work of others. He even wanted to improve on the designs of our father. I should have dealt with him when he first raised his hand to me on Macragge.
Oh,
Why could it not have been him who fell instead of Sanguinius?
come on. Come
He
on.
inhales sharply. I must go to Terra. If my father is still on the Golden Throne, as you say, then if there is any scrap of life still in him, any spark of his consciousness left, I will see him. Zabriel shakes his head again. Such a thing is not possible. At least, he adds, narrowing his eyes, I would not consider it so. I do not know how you came to be here. The lion thinks back to his awakening by the river. Those forests were definitely not those of Kamarth. Now he considers it, he realizes that they really were like the forests of Caliban. But he has no idea how he came to be there, or how there turned into here. That is still something of a mystery to me as well. But why is travel to Terra not possible? Has humanity lost the use of the warp? Did all the navigators die? Nothing so prosaic, Zabriel says. Did Halin and Sutik tell you anything of why the people of Kamarth are reduced to this? He gestures with one hand, taking in the camp around them. They said the sky opened and the bastards came, the lion remembers. That it twisted everything, even the stars, and that I would see it when the sun went down. Accurate enough, Zabriel says. Dusk is nearly upon us. If you will wait until then, my explanation will be more easily understood. The lion considers. His instinct is to press for more information as soon as possible, but he can practically feel the cracks running through his soul. He lost consciousness fighting the man he had considered a brother, and he awoke to the news that 10,000 years have passed, and his true brothers are all dead. He is well aware that this is likely to be just the beginning of the revelations, and any good warrior knows their own limits. Memories are still returning to him as it is. It will do him no good to further pressure his psyche by trying to absorb 10,000 years of history in one go. Besides, there is another, more sinister possibility. That this entire experience is something concocted by the foul powers that corrupted Horus in order to torment the lion, showing him the final ruin of his father's vision. If that is the case, then he will bide his time and wait for the flaws in the illusion to show. I still require a knife, he announces to the group at large, turning away from Zabriel.
Okay. So, that is where we are going to stop. But, yeah, the point was the conversation, guys. And, in part 3, we're just going to continue forward and see what the heck is happening, because I also don't know. We are going through this almost at the same time. So yeah, this time, this is how we're going to do it, so I can also have no idea what the heck. And I'm going to analyze as I go, so everything so far just is pretty clear, really. To me, it's not really clear how he got in that Caliban forest, if that is really what it is, and how he got to Camelot all of a sudden after that. And yeah, I hope that this book gives us more answers. And yes, okay, he is mad with Gilliman, but he doesn't know the whole context of what happened. He doesn't know that Gilliman had to take very important decisions in order for the Imperium to have a lot more chances against Chaos and Xenos in general. So he had to make the Primaris, he had to take very executive actions towards protecting the Imperium, and he is all alone without his dad, without the other brothers, all those things. So it's not like he did it out of his own ego, actually. Gilliman is one of the guys that is trying to be as objective as possible and acting not on ego, but really on his whole experience as a ruler on his own freaking system. Which none of the other brothers can say, so I hope that the lion will not be as mad when he gets things into perspective. And once again, apologies for my puppy, who has heard something in the corridor probably. So he got there the same way, has a space marine, the warp. Okay, maybe. Well, we'll see, further on in the book. Thanks for the awesome compliment here, Irko. I read that. So thank you. And welcome to Matty. Not feeling well? Okay. I hope that you feel much better, Matty. I hope so. Yeah, guys. So far, so good with this book. Continuing on whenever possible, because we do have to go through it, finish it, and see what the heck we can predict for the future based on this book. And I don't know what's happening to the Arc of Omen, but I still don't know if this book is going to actually come out in an audio format, because if it doesn't, I literally cannot read it, and I have to go read like the synopsis or the basic info so I can extract whatever I can extract from there, and going forward with the information, how I'm going to analyze what's going to happen in the future. So it's important, but if there is no audio option, I literally have no time to go through it, so that's gonna be a bummer. But anyway, if you are reading this book, let me know how you feel about it. You can check the first part, of course, of this video if you like. And that is going to be for now, guys, but thank you so much, of course, for watching. If you like me to review anything by your request, this is in Patreon with the tiers there. And of course, if you like me to coach you on anything, be that meaningful sex educational content, fitness, health, nutrition, relationship advice, health coaching, more my own physique updates, I'm there in OnlyFans. And you can also become a member of the Imperium, join our Golden Astartes Discord server, in which we are sharing a lot, Warhammer mostly, but you're free to share whatever you like pretty much. So with that being said, thank you so much for the thank you, dear Clayton, for the link. Oh, hi to Malpaso Man, I just saw you there in the comments. But yeah, we are finished. You can go from the beginning and hear the whole thing if you like. So yeah, love you guys, and until very soon with me, Gary J Reviews, or like you guys called me, the Empress. Love you.